So welcome everybody, welcome on board. Yesterday we had a brief discussion on what IELTS is, and we keep on. But then before we really dive into the real thing, I would appreciate if you can have a quick run over of everything we talked about yesterday. So my name is Shade. I'm one of the facilitators here at Unified Academy. We've been in the show for quite a while. We've been doing this for, in May, will be 4 years in the business, and I believe we've touched many lives, like here and there, everywhere around the world. We keep touching people. So we've been consistently having it beautiful with all the people we've been coming across. So let's see how it goes. International English Language Testing System. It is an examination that is being conducted by two bodies. We have the IDP, we have the British Council. British Council is UK based, England based. So they are one of the authorities pulling down the questions, pulling up the questions together and bringing it on board for people to work on. And we have the IDP, the one that has its center or the headquarters in Australia. Australia too is one of the big ones among the two that are conducting this examination. So you may decide to take the IDP test or decide to take the British Council test. It will not like limit what the band score your whoever is requesting for your test is requesting for. It won't reduce it. So you have to actually know the band score that the person you want to use the result for is demanding for. Like if you are thinking of school, if it is a school that is demanding for that, you should work your ways into knowing what band score you actually need. If it is a professional body, like if you are a nurse, if you are a doctor, if you're a pharmacist, a medical laboratory scientist, someone in those professions, occupational health, social work, physiotherapy, you just name it. You should move out to know what the people are expecting from you. So that is International English Language Testing System. IDP is conducting it, British Council is conducting it, and you can take the either trainings, could be academic and it could be general training. Academic, in the professional bodies do request for academic parts of this test to get you registered. To get into their register, they will tell you to write IELTS Academy. Of course, there are some that do request for general. Now, UKVI, that's the one that is being used for UK immigration. So you may not be a nurse, you may not be a pharmacist, not a medical doctor, or what have you, but you have the mind to travel, to come to the United Kingdom. For your immigration purposes, you will actually need the UKVI one, which you may decide to take the general module, the general training, or you may decide to take the academic training. In most situations, those guys used to request for general trainings. And believe you me, it's much easier to wade through the waters, the flood of general training than academic. Of course, there are just two of those modules that are different. We still talk about it as we move on. So please ensure you don't take the wrong test, and ensure you don't unnecessarily go and book the toughest one or the tougher one instead of going for the much easier one. Like if you are coming to the United Kingdom in these days that people are coming as carers, I would be so dazed, so surprised if you go outside there to book for UKV, academic, IELTS. I won't blame you if you do not know, but if you've been in this class and you still go outside there to book it, I will look at why would you just stress yourself for whatsoever reason? So My guys are coming on stage. Thank you very much. So you don't have to stress yourself so much. But then, if you are a nurse and you want to come to UK, Canada, Australia, USA, New Zealand, Singapore, and you now go and book general test, for your professional registration, I will be surprised too, because you actually need the academic module for your professional registration, except if otherwise stated by your professional body. It's very much important for you to know what your professional body is requesting for before you book your test. And yesterday, or was it day before yesterday, I begged us to ensure we put our mind, everything about us into this training, because the money to actually write IELTS these days is quite big, is very huge. That some people can actually use this money to buy a portion of land that, and honestly, if you want to book an examination of 200,000 plus, it's not something you want to joke with. So please use your few days here brilliantly. Use your few days here as much as you can. Invest everything in you into your 2 days here, few days here. Invest everything in you into your days here, and there will be no regrets. We go our way out. We make you comfy, we make you comfortable, we answer your questions. This is the place that you must say it and write it, then let it get corrected before you go into your examination hall. Make all your mistakes with us. Allow us to do the work of correcting all those things. And then you go outside there to show them the stuffs you've been made up of. That is why we are here. Any other reason we tell you we are here, then it is not it. I believe people can hear me.
Yes, we
Hello?
can.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you
ma, you
so
can hear
very
you.
much.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So that is that. So the International English Language Testing System, it could be your professional body requesting, it could be a school requesting, it could be for migration, like in the case of Canada. If you are doing express entry, you are doing provincial nomination and a few of those things, you may not need to wait for so many things, because those ones, they have like, this is the yardstick. So if you want to actually get into the pool, your listening must not be less than band 8 if you are facing or focusing Canada. And if it is express entry or provincial nomination, you actually know that you are using general English, you are using general IELTS. Of course, these days I learned that they are accepting Pearson test of English. So work very well. It's going to pan out well. And then you can take your test on computer, in which situation your report will be out within 5 working days. If you are taking it as paper-based, 13 days thereafter, your reports will be out. And these days there is IELTS one skill test whatsoever. So if we don't pray people drop scores, because we don't want you to drop bands, but if you drop band in one of the modules, or you think the band you desire is not what you actually got from the report, then there is really no reason for you to book all the 4 tests again. Before, it used to be that stressful. Once you fail one, I mean, you won't fail. Once someone failed one, it was in those days failed all. But these days, no, you don't actually have to do all those things. You can just go and book that single that single module retake, and you retake it. So, and the result will now come back together as one result, not coming as a combination or as a clubbing of reports at that point in time. So that is that. So for whatsoever reasons you need it, preparation is very, very essential. And you can take your listening test, you take the speaking module, you take the reading module, and you are going to take the writing module. 4 modules. You have to complete the modules before you will have your reports out back to you in the first time that you are sitting for that test. So when it is one skill retake, maybe there is someone who wants to retake, there is a different ball game. Just book that one, go write it. then your examining body will now add the reports into it, and everything will just be a single report. So that is that. So your speaking test will take you like 11 to 14 minutes. Yesterday, I told you that if your examiner is quite happy with what you are doing during your test, they may not want you to waste time at all. They will just, you are off the stage. But if you are struggling and the examiner is not convinced, and the examiner is thinking, let me be merciful on this person and the money that our parents spent to get this examination registered for her, then the examiner will still keep trying you. And when they are trying you, don't fall your hands. When they are trying you, push up your game. When they are trying, when you know that you've been there, these are things that had happened in previous days. I remember a friend told me that that she was actually sick, and I told her to defy this test, but that thing was pushing her. Go and write this test. She got there, and on her speaking day, oh no, she passed all the modules, oh, but speaking was not favorable to her. So she said, but the speaking was much more stressful than before, and I spent longer time. When she told me, I said, I told her you were not likely going to pass that English, because the examiner was just struggling to see if you could change her mind about you. The examiner was trying to help you. The examiner was trying to see, will she push it up beyond what she's been doing? But she couldn't, because she wasn't in very perfect frame of health. So if you are having challenges with your health, you may do well to defy your examination. Or if you have anything troubling you at all, you may want to help yourself and then defy your test to further notice, so that you can get yourself prepared and come back to it with strength. So, but if you are doing very well, I've seen situation too that the examinee was there, and she did so well that the examiner she had to she completed her minutes, and the examiner said, when she had stopped the recorder, the examiner told her, please, you have to complete that story, because the person told the story as beautifully as they can. So that is the kind of thing we want you to go and do there for your examiner. Go and tell the examiner in a very beautiful way. Go and convince them you have good hands on English. Go and tell them you have good command of English. Go and tell them you can think on your feet, because speaking test is demanding from you to be able to think on your feet. Honestly, of course, we will share questions in the class. There is a big book of questions that we're going to share with you. But then, while we share that, what if you don't even see what we share with you on the examination day? You should be able to think on your feet. And that's why we will deal with paraphrasing, rephrasing, we deal with vocabularies, because that's going to help you. Once you can bring in your vocabularies into anything they are bringing your way. You don't have to learn your answers by heart, because anything might change. In fact, how many answers do you want to learn by heart anyway? Because there are loads of questions. They have pools. They are just pulling out those questions out of those pools. Yeah, I'm not sure if they. Oh, goodness me. Someone is backstage that I couldn't bring on board. No troubles. We see how it goes as we keep going into it. So, 11 to 14 minutes, you have your part one, part two, part three, and you get settled. Part one is about you, is about day to day things that you see that are happening around you. There are things you have hands on, just like MTN, all about you. Part two is the long term, in which situation you will have your cue card and you have the questions written out there with some supporting information to help you to build your reports, like to help you to build whatsoever you want to speak with your examiner. And you may make use of those ones. You may decide not to make use of them. You will not be penalized for not using them, but you have to answer the core questions in that under your long term. And in long term, after you are done reading and jotting down your your answers for 1 minute, the examiner will take the cue card away from you. You will be left with you'll be left with what you've jotted down, what you've written down, and the examiner will expect you to speak for 2 minutes, and you'll be speaking all alone. You will not be interrupted. In part one, you will have quick questions in quick successions. You have questions, 2, 3, or 4 questions that you have to give your answers to in about 2 or 3 statements, all well knitted together, all well cemented together in very coherent and cohesive manner. That's the way you must present your answers in all the stages. So, and also in your part two, where you are doing the long term, you are expected to showcase how well you can command English. You are expected to use all those um all those things that we discussed about yesterday, the criteria with which you've been the criteria for measuring your English. So those 4 things that must come out when you are speaking, and the examiner will be judging you, will be rating you on those first 4 things. Very essential. And when you are done with that big long term, the examiner will come and ask you few questions. Examiner will be asking you those questions we called follow-up questions. They are about majorly what you've discussed at the big topic. So, like yesterday, I gave us an example that the examiner might ask you to describe a beautiful building that you visited at particular point in time, and your supporting information may ask you that you should describe where you saw this place, you should describe what you went there to do, you should describe the things that attracted you to that building. And follow-up information can now come to you and say, do you think that bigger houses are being constructed in industrialized area or in rural areas, because there are lands, the lands are very much available? So there are follow-up questions, and you should be able to address them. You still follow the yardstick, you still follow the parameter. Make your statement like 2 or 3. Don't make just one statement. Okay, like you have something like in your part one, do you work or study? And your answer comes like, I work. Then you stop. What will the examiner measure there? They can't measure anything. Like, we discussed you. They will measure you on fluency. They will measure you on coherence. They will measure you on lexical, your usage of lexical resources, how flexible you are with language, with English. They will measure your grammatical range and accuracy. They will measure your pronunciation. So when you say I work, what's the examiner judging there? Maybe just pronunciation. So because that's no statement, there is no grammar in that. I work is no grammar. You can tap a 2-year-old child that has been talking, and the child will tell you I work. So what are you going to measure there? There's nothing to measure. So you have to stretch it. And when you are stretching it, then those gadgets will be coming first. Those ingredients, your pronunciation, your grammatical range and accuracy, your lexical resources, your fluency and coherence, all will be showing forth when you are speaking further. But if you just say, do you work? No. Do you study? Yes. God no go shame us. So you have to stretch it further. And it is in the stretching further that your beautiful scores will all come into it. So that is that. Then you move to part 3. Part 3 too is like your opinion questions. Your opinion it could come like, do you think working from home will continue as time goes on? Then it is now your opinion. You may build it the way you like. You may weigh it here and balance it. You may weigh it up and leave a side up higher and leave the other one down. you may just leave everything hanging, but you have to bring in your opinion. What do you think? Nobody is going to beat you. Nobody is going to fight with you. You are in there to defend your ability to speak English and nothing less than that. My people have been going in and out. Yeah, and can you guys hear me, please?
Yes, ma.
Yes, I
And do
can.
you have grasp of what we are discussing?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any questions before we move on?
No, ma.
Okay.
Not actually.
Not actually. All right. So that is that about that. And um yeah, once you are done with your opinions, that is all done. I think we can leave and come back in so that we don't have it too long. Let's leave and come back in, please. Okay?